Number 9. Memphis, Tennessee. Though Memphis is still a massive city, its numbers are rapidly declining. Back in the 1950s, there were around 7,780 people per square mile living in the city. That's a stark difference with the 1,915 citizens per square mile in 2014. One of the overarching problems the city faces is racial segregation when it comes to neighborhoods, and the inequities between these areas are stark. Studies conducted in the city show that the wealth disparity is more significant between white and African American Memphians. Poverty rates in Memphis are at 27%, while some neighborhoods peak at 40% of all households below the poverty line. What's worse, when winter comes, the weather often reaches concerning freezing temperatures, which can turn life-threatening for the city's growing homeless population. Several soup kitchens feed the poor on a daily basis, and most of the regular visitors are veterans and children. Today's video was requested by Eagles Nation 023. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 8. Little Rock, Arkansas. On paper, Little Rock should be an ideal place to live. The unemployment rates are as low as 3%, and homes are genuinely affordable. There are, however, a number of growing issues that affects its population. It isn't focused on the job opportunities, but rather on the crime rate. The numbers speak for themselves, as the chances of being a victim of a violent crime in this small city are 199% higher than the national average, giving citizens and tourists a 1 in 11 chance of being murdered or robbed. It ranks in the top 10 cities in the US when it comes to crimes per capita, especially violent ones. The Gaia Springs area is considered among the most dangerous within the city limits, according to the Little Rock Police Department, so it's best to avoid it once the sun goes down. The second reason people are fleeing Little Rock is that this region is located within the US's Tornado Alley. This makes the chances of natural disasters higher than in other areas. Before we continue with our list, answer this question. Which president first declared war on drugs? A. Barack Obama. B. Jimmy Carter. C. Richard Nixon. D. John F. Kennedy. Let us know what you think in the comments section below, and stay tuned to find out the right answer. Number 7. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore has developed a rather negative reputation over the past few decades. It features an astonishing rate of violent crimes per 100,000 residents. The figure rests at 2,027 versus the state's average, which is only 500. In 1 year, almost half of all crimes reported in Maryland came exclusively from Baltimore. In 2017, 41.1% of these offenses originated solely from this city. During that same year, 342 murders were committed, while New York, a city housing massively more citizens than Baltimore, reported 292. To make matters worse, poverty rates are also incredibly high compared to the state's average. Baltimore's population includes 22.4% of poor households, while Maryland, as a whole, features only 9.7%. The annual unemployment rate isn't any more uplifting, as it peaks at 5.7% against the state's 3.9%. Number 6. Anthony, New Mexico. Anthony in New Mexico has one of the worst poverty rates in all of the United States. It's no wonder then that its citizens are fleeing to other states and cities in search of better prospects. More than 48% of Las Cruces families are considered to be below the poverty line, which translates to nearly half of its population. Not only that, but the cost of living is far higher than the average salary, which means that making ends meet is a genuine struggle for most citizens. The median household income is a mere $24,398, while property values average around $84,300. Property crime is the most reported offense in the city, with 860 per 100,000 citizens having suffered from burglary larceny, or vehicle theft. Number 5. Oakland, California. It's undeniable that Oakland beats San Francisco when it comes to property prices. However, those citizens who are looking to save a few dollars on rent might want to think twice before moving to the bright side of the bay. Oakland's crime statistics far exceed those in San Francisco and, in fact, most other cities in the US. It ranks 11th when it comes to violent crimes on a national average. Property crimes stand at an astonishing 5,982 per 100,000 citizens, among the highest across the US. To make matters worse, the amount of police officers enlisting and working in the Oakland area has been declining steadily over the past few years. This aspect only increases the chances of citizens encountering a violent assailant and simultaneously diminishing their chances of being aided by authorities. Number 4. Atlanta, Georgia. Not only is crime 107% higher in the Atlanta region than the national average, but poverty rates are also skyrocketing. The situation is set to reach new lows as a tent city is growing in Atlanta's Midtown region. It's no wonder people are resorting to such dire measures, with Atlanta's eviction rates being among the highest in the entire US. Fulton, the central county in Atlanta, sent eviction notices to 22% of its citizens, though that number rises to 40% when it comes to African American households. The reported annual crime rate in Atlanta is 5,712 per 100,000 citizens, with property crimes making up 83% of that figure. Poverty levels center around 24%, with the national average in the US being 15.1%. It's no wonder people are choosing other cities in Georgia in an exodus that's set to increase in the coming years. Number 3. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There's no doubt that Philadelphia is a dangerous place to live. When looking at the violent crime rates alone, a citizen is 202% more likely to be a victim of a vicious assault than in other regions in the state. These chances are also higher than the national average at 141%. But it's not only crime that citizens of Philadelphia must worry about. Poverty and unemployment are also on the rise. 26% of all families in the city find themselves below the poverty line, and this is far higher than the national average. The income per capita is worse than the median in the rest of Pennsylvania, making this a city with few opportunities for growth. Though opioid-based drug overdoses are finally becoming less frequent in Pennsylvania, the incidence remains stable in the Philadelphia region. Methamphetamine-related deaths are on the rise. So which US president first declared war on drugs? The right answer was C, Richard Nixon. This was a campaign led by the government involving military intervention to enforce the prohibition of drugs and reduce drugs smuggled into US territory. Richard Nixon intended to prevent the distribution, production, and even consumption of illegal drugs. Nixon at one point declared that drug abuse was public enemy number 1. Number 2. Dayton, Ohio. Dayton has an incredibly high murder rate, an estimated 26.4 per 100,000 citizens. To put things into perspective, the average homicide ratio in the US alone is 4.9. That's over 5 times larger, which means that you are more likely to be killed around the Dayton area than in most other cities in the US. Worse still, during the summer of 2019, Dayton was home to a terrible mass shooting. Using assault rifles, Connor Stephen Betts killed 9 people and injured 27 others before he was shot and killed by police officers who brought his rampage to an end.
Official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at theywillkillyou.com. Some of it is to die for.
Number 1. Gary, Indiana. Gary was once nicknamed the City of the Century, and it showed great promise for a bright future. However, it didn't manage to live up to its expectations. Nowadays, it's been dubbed the most miserable city in America, and for good reasons. Between 2010 and 2018, it lost over 6% of its population, and those who remain must deal with the fact that 36% of households live below the poverty line. Unemployment is also raging, with 7.2% of its population being unable to find or hold down jobs. To compare, the median unemployment ratio on a national level is just 3.9%. Not only is it hard to get employed in Gary, but salaries are also low. The average income per resident is around $15,983 per year, which is almost twice as low as the national standard. Thanks for watching. Would you rather live in a luxurious apartment in a crime-infested neighborhood, or in a small house with only basic utilities in an affluent area? Let us know in the comments section below.